Callaway, who was in Alabama port this morning.
Thank you, Bradley. And I appreciate you doing this every time you do it. And I apologize for not having been to them for the last several years that you hosted them, so thank you for hosting these. And I also want to thank you for what you said at the Midtown Mobile Town Hall a couple of months ago about how you support environmental protection. And I think shortly thereafter, the administration put forward their proposed budget cuts for the environment. We've done a little bit of research and homework, and it looks like the Alabama Department of Environmental Management, as one agency, would see a 44.5% budget cut if those proposed budgets went through. That would be cuts to EPA, cuts to NOAA, which does their water quality monitoring or funds their water quality monitoring, and a slew of other costs that they intake. Alabama Department of Environmental Management is 49th in the nation for funding from the state. It's not Mississippi. There's always somebody else who changes out, but we are always 49. And, you know, I will assure you I've got problems with some of the things they do, but we need a strong state agency because the environment is our economy in Alabama, in coastal Alabama. I know this is a hard question for you, and it's a hard issue for you because you are different. You represent a coastal community that sends back, and it was said this morning, about 30% of the state's general fund budget comes from these two coastal counties. The port, tourism, seafood industry, you name it. We do it and we provide it. So we need you to stand strong, and it may not be popular in the party on these issues. So I would love for you to talk about your issues and concerns with environmental protection, what you're going to do to fight for environmental protection for all of us.
Good question, a little bit of a long answer. I know, but just when you get into these, you can't just do a real short thing with it. First of all, what the president put forward is what's called a skinny budget. It's not skinny because it's small, it's skinny because there weren't many details in it. Okay? There's going to be a real budget coming. Now, what you saw were what they call top lines for the agencies. My understanding is we'll have a real budget coming from it. There'll be a lot of detail below it. Now, here's the truth. And I hope this doesn't offend the president, but we never accept the president's budget. When President Obama was president, Republicans would put his budget up in front of the Congress, and we make everybody vote on it to get about 5 or 6 votes. Okay? Presidents put out budgets, and they're kind of aspirational. This is what I'd like to see. But no one really expects that that's what we're going to do. Now, we adopt our own budget. It's aspirational. We don't just do what's in our budget. Where the rubber hits the road is in our appropriations bill. So I'm giving you a little bit of a lesson on how Congress works. That's where we spend the money. Okay? The budgets are nice, and that's good. Good to see all that. But until you see where we appropriate the money, you don't know what's being spent and what's being cut. So there are a number of programs that could be cut under the skinny budget, or they could not be. So let's take you brought up NOAA. Now, NOAA does a whole lot of stuff. Some of it I strongly support. That's where the National Weather Service is. That's not where the National Hurricane Center is. By golly, Rebecca will tell you I'm like a weather nerd. I read all that stuff. But it does some other stuff I don't support. I don't support NOAA's oversight over the National Marine Fisheries Service that's telling us we have to have a 9-day snapper season. I don't support that. I think we can spend that money better. So if you get into the weeds, those details under those top lines, there's some things I think you and I agree, yeah, we can cut that. What I don't want to cut is the stuff that really gets down to where the rubber meets the road, that protects the waters of southwest Alabama, that protects the woods of southwest Alabama, and protects the air of southwest Alabama. I've been living here my whole life, you know that. I was one of the first contributors to your organization. Y'all know where Burns Lake is, up 225? That's where my ancestor moved in 1781. We got the records. We haven't gone far. And why would I go far? This is one of the prettiest places in the world to live. We love it this time of year most of all. Amen. And it is because of the rivers and the creeks and the woods and the bays. And we've got to keep that clean. We've got some wonderful programs that are funded by the federal government. A lot of stuff that happens down at Weeks Bay is paid for by the foundation. Bald Eagle Bash this weekend, everybody. Saturday afternoon, go Bald Eagle Bash. But a lot of it's paid for by the federal government. There's some programs that we have that work through the Dolphin Island Sea Lab that are paid for by the federal government. I go on and on. So I have already written letters this year in support of those programs to the appropriators. That's where the money gets spent. And I'm going to continue to be that kind of advocate. I'm not really going against, just some of my people in my party I'm going against. I get that. But there are a lot of us just like me that represent areas that have woods and water they care a lot about. So while you saw that in that release, don't think that's the end of the story. There's a whole lot that's going to happen between here and there. So hang in there with me as we do this and watch how it actually comes out the way we finally spend the money. Because that's when you know what we're actually